I want to go back, if I can, Peter Gleeson. The issue of GetUp. It's had a lot of traction this week. I had Amanda Stoker on last night talking about the fact that basically the vast majority of the monies out of campaigns are spent on campaigns, they say, but bracket including staffing and the salaries. The salaries are huge. But Amanda Stoker went further. She accuses GetUp last night of a US tactic called bird dogging, where they follow around Liberal candidates, in this case women, in this case in particular Nicole Flint, and it's meant to intimidate them, scare them back behind their desks so that they're not out there campaigning. They verbal them in press conferences, they try and make their life difficult and look like there's some sort of chaos around the candidate. That shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, let's be frank here, Peter. I mean, GetUp is a pox on the Australian political system. They play below the belt. They singled Nicole Flint out at the last election. They singled out Greg Hunt. They singled out Peter Dutton. They singled out Kevin Andrews. They had no success there. And, of course, we saw those stories early in the week where, you know, they've raised $12 million in the last 12 months from political donors who, of course, they don't tell us who they are. They skirt the current legislative laws around declarations. But the worst part of this is that $7 million of that $12 million goes on administration. It goes on salaries, obviously very highly paid executives, and travel. So they're obviously travelling, they're turning left instead of right when they jump onto planes. Now, I know for a fact that since that story has come out, there's been a lot of consternation among GetUp donors. It doesn't play out well for them within the general public because the general public see them as being this organisation that tries to keep, the LNP honest, but they are far from honest, this mob. They are a pox on Australian political society. The sooner they go, the better.
Yeah, but I agree with you on the sooner they go, or the sooner they are exposed for what they are, you know, I'm fine with that. But Chris Smith, what I'm worried about, and really Amanda Stoker last night belled the cat, once they are so brand damaged, once GetUp is a brand that people see it for being a left activist organisation, there is fear that they won't get enough donations this year to pay the salaries. They will just rebirth the organisation as something else. They'll put a new brand on it, they'll dress it all up, it'll sound like it is, sitting somewhere in the centre, but it'll still be the same GetUp, it'll still be the same people, the same sort of US-style money and organisational clout, but they'll try and rebrand, and then it'll take some time for people to uncover this new body for what it is. So that's the risk, isn't it, Chris?
You might be right. Having said that, I have a feeling that those that are pulling the strings in the United States, probably the biggest donor would be George Soros, but let's put the conspiracies aside for a second. It will pop up in another form, but we've got to come up with some kind of rules and regulations about how you classify a group like this. Are they allowed to not pay tax? Are they allowed to lobby? And are they allowed to come under some kind of charity format? I think this has come on us in the last 10 years, and we haven't caught up in terms of legislation. I think when they're talking about getting rid of GetUp, it's a little bit more than that. We've got to prevent the rebirth, the phoenix of GetUp.
Yeah, the phoenixing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got to do that because you're right, that's exactly what will happen. And this business about crush and scar, well, they are just different terms for stalking and intimidation, aren't they?
Correct. And let me just put a very careful disclaimer, gentlemen, I want to put a very careful disclaimer in there. GetUp say they are inside all the disclosure rules. They are inside all the donation rules.
I'm sure they are.
Apply to them. They say they are. Now, I want to go into another issue, though. Trent Zimmerman, he's the member for North Sydney. He was able to secure $10 million in funding for the Sydney Olympic Pool, the North Sydney Olympic Pool. Now, it's claimed by the journalist who broke this story that the money for the upgrade to the change rooms came from a grants program that was earmarked for regional areas. You're our regional man there, Gleeson. North Sydney, it's regional Australia.
This is a disgrace, Peter, and I'll tell you what, more will come of this. There is a community in regional Australia that right now doesn't have a pool. In fact, $10 million, I reckon you could buy a couple of pools for that. What about the Mayor of North Sydney, Gilly Gibson? She says the North Sydney Olympic Pool is definitely a regional facility as people from all over the state use the pool.
Oh.
I've never heard anything like that. I go up and swim at Centenary Pool because some bloke beside me is from Longreach in the other lane. It's a regional pool. It's in the heart of Brisbane. That is the most disgraceful piece of public pronouncement I've ever heard. And Zimmerman, you know, good luck to him. He's been able to pull the wool over the eyes of the bureaucrats in Sydney, in Canberra, and he's got himself a pool or an upgrade on a regional program. But the problem is that there are some regions out there that are missing out. I think it's a disgrace.
It is. It is.
All right, I want to go to another issue, Chris. This one's all yours. The Prime Minister's right-hand man, his name is Alex Hawke. Well, he's involved in a Liberal Party investigation that looks like it's set to go to the courts, accused of doctoring branch party minutes in his favour.
Well, this is all part of what we saw occur with Jim Molan, where there's an effort by Alex Hawke and others within the New South Wales Liberal Party to get rid of the true Conservatives out there. And it's happening in a little way. It's not gaining too much news, but it's happening in branches, in suburbs, at Liberal Party functions where membership has changed from one branch to another, and then we try and get the numbers so that the Conservatives over at West Pennant Hills don't get their say and they can't win that branch. It's about almost purging the New South Wales Liberal Party of true Conservatives. And Alex Hawke has done this before, except in Jim Molan's case, because of the last federal election, we discovered that Jim Molan's the most popular politician in the entire planet, so they had to go back on their word and give Jim another job, thank goodness. But Alex Hawke had better watch what he's doing here, because if he's doing anything naughty, he's going to get caught, because those who have been the victims of Alex Hawke's politics at a local level are going to come and get him.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating, and he's, as I said, very close to the Prime Minister. I don't think the Prime Minister at this point in time will be happy about any of this. Got to leave it there, gentlemen. Thanks, as always, for your time, Peter Gleeson. Chris Smith.
Thank you, Peter.
See you, Chris.